Welcome back to Sky Sports News. Some rugby news for you now. Wasps forward Joe Launchbury will miss the Lions tour of South Africa this summer. He suffered a complete rupture of his anterior cruciate ligament during Sunday's game against Bath. Launchbury, the lock, would have been part of the second row discussions ahead of the squad announcement next week, certainly. Now, he's been unlucky in the past, Launchbury. He missed out on the 2013 series win in Australia and wasn't selected for the drawn series in New Zealand 4 years ago. He'll have surgery now on that knee injury. And sticking with the Lions, Premiership Rugby have reached an agreement on player release, which will be beneficial to the Lions and indeed to Warren Gatland. Jamie, tell us more.
Well, this was threatening to be a bit of a sticking point between the Lions and the England-based players, but an agreement has now been reached between Premiership Rugby, as you say, and the Lions for players to be released at the conclusion of their domestic commitments. Now, that will mean different dates to different players. If you look at the table at the moment, the likes of players at Bath, Leicester, Wasps, Gloucester, they're unlikely to be involved in the playoffs at the moment. So therefore, for them, their season ends on June the 12th. At that point, they are now, thanks to this agreement today, free to join up with the Lions squad for a 10-day training camp in Jersey ahead of a Lions warm-up game in Edinburgh against Japan. That's on June the 26th. Players from the teams which make the playoffs but get knocked out at the semi-final stage, they can, in theory, now join up with that training camp, albeit halfway through it, on June the 19th, immediately after that semi-final. This agreement also covers Saracens players as well. They may well make up a sizable chunk of the squad. You think of the likes of Owen Farrell, Maro Toje, Jamie George, the Vunipola brothers. They're likely, you would imagine, to be involved in the two-legged championship playoff final. That also concludes on June the 19th, at which point they can jump on a flight to Jersey as well. It's only now, Aaron, players that are involved in the Premiership final, which is the same day as that Lions game against Japan, who will miss the whole of that Jersey camp and also that game as well. Whereas before today's agreement, that would have been the case for every England-based player. OK, so that game on the 26th of June against Japan. But essentially what this does is give Warren Gatland 10 days to have a look at almost all of the players available to him for selection. I mean, there's all sorts of issues to get into beyond this, but we'll have time for that. Yeah. But essentially, it's better news for him. He gets more preparation. This is it. Warren Gatland had previously intimated that players could miss out on selection altogether if they weren't available for this camp. This agreement now appears to put that to bed. Premiership Rugby clearly want as many of their players as possible involved in the Lions tour, but in future they just say that there needs to be more collaboration, that all parties need to be round the table working together when it comes to arranging these dates. They kind of feel as if the wool was pulled over their eyes a bit, and there was particular annoyance, I think, that the Lions warm-up game against Japan was scheduled for the same day as their showpiece, the Premiership final. And I know you picked up on this as well. It's a one-off. The kicker in the final paragraph of their statement, because they say that for future Lions tours, players will not be released until after the Premiership final. They will continue to honour their commitments around player release under World Rugby Regulation 9, which is these sort of international windows where players can be released in. Jason Leonard, the Lions chairman, has thanked Premiership Rugby for their diligence in reaching this agreement and has said they're very grateful. But it now appears that all-out civil war between Premiership Rugby and Lions isn't going to happen. But in future, just watch your step, Lions. Yeah, don't do this again. All right, Jamie. Thank you very much indeed.